Hello, Cedric Kennedy here, CR Wrestling Commentary, and I'm doing Fandom Memories on Anderson. Now, if you're new to this is when I just ramble off the top of my head my memories of the wrestler from a fan's point of view and sort of mix in a insider thing depending upon how important it may be. But I'd rather talk about this from a fan's point of view. Just mark out and that's it. Because I think that's what's missing. People enjoying the wrestlers as wrestlers, not, you're on our social level and you need to abide by our social rules and conduct, which kills the entire ability for a wrestler to actually get over in the first place. All you can do is just be who does the best tricks, who can, hit the move the hardest, who can, look the most stunned, and who can be more of a tough guy in a field where there can be no tough guys, because that would just be bullying now, wouldn't it? So yeah, this here, and see, I can say all this because Arn Anderson truly went against all of that. My earliest memories of Arn Anderson, they're sketchy. Little flickers and flashes. I remember being at my grandma's house late night, and it was probably the second or third week that I'd seen. It was NWA wrestling, and the ring at points would either be blank or it would say WCW, but it was hosted NWA when the show came on. And Arn Anderson was primarily just in squash matches, him being the squasher. And it was I was still learning, if somebody was a contender or not. I didn't know who anyone was. And Arn Anderson, just quiet, but always had that eagle eye focus. That's what it always looked like. Like he was looking at somebody like, I have been wanting to hurt you for about a month now, and you are just finding out about it. And it doesn't matter how you feel, this is going to happen. And that's how he would look. And he would always, right before a lockup, he always looked like he's going to throw that right hand and knock somebody out just before a collar and elbow tie up at the beginning of a match. I don't know if he meant to do that, but I'm not going to lock up with someone that's looking like they're about to belt me. I just wouldn't do that. So it always struck me odd. I'm like, one day he's going to hit this guy. One day he's going to hit him and it's going to be funny. That's what I would think. And then I think, wait a minute, but he's hitting somebody. I mean, you're not supposed to, because he have his fist ball tight. And I'm like, they don't hit like that in wrestling. And then I met others like Dick Murdoch and stuff that looked like they hit like that. And Arn Anderson, he had a nice little right hand on him. And it never looked like he was hitting with the flat of his hand at points. Sometimes like he straight up knuckle up on somebody. And it was always gruesome. I've never liked fighting. Never. The sound of my fist slamming into somebody's face just always seemed gross. And so it just wasn't my thing. And I kept wondering, why would he do this? Then I thought other wrestlers, why are you all doing this? Just go home, have a Pepsi or a Coca-Cola and see if you can get the Big Mac of the week or something, That was a small McDonald's thing at the time, the Big Mac of the week. I don't know why it was so dumb of me. I was a little kid. I was just a little thing. So I thought, hey, this is the Big Mac of the week. Marking out over stuff like that. Oh, yeah, a whole Big Mac value meal. It didn't even value meal. It was just the meal. $2.99. Big Mac, large fries, medium drink. That was it. Literally, large fries, medium drink, Big Mac. $2.99. I wish Arn Anderson had hit these people as they tried to raise the prices, man. Just pretend to collar and elbow tie up and just punch them. So seeing Arn Anderson's gaze like that, and no, there wasn't a pause and skip and nothing. Nope, I had to collect my thoughts. I got a little annoyed with the price hikes of everything around me. That's all. I just got a little ticked off at things that should cost a third as much as it is. But Arn Anderson, I seen him wrestle at Body Slam, good one. And then he was the only one I saw. The only one I saw that was doing the hammerlock body slam. Put the arm behind him and slam him on their arm. He's the only one I saw that was doing that. In Fire Pro, I recently, not recently, but it's like been a month or so that I made that move and put it in the game. I wanted from the beginning, once they put Movecraft in, just didn't know exactly how I would get that off. And I did it. I legitimately watched how Arn Anderson did it, and I copied it frame for frame. That's what I did. I copied it frame per frame, and it just doesn't look right, but it's spot on. It's crazy. I saw him do that to Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson. I saw him do it to a bunch of other enhancement guys that were not the Rock and Roll Express. I saw him do it to them, and I'm like, okay, and I liked it. Then I don't know what happened, but he went away for a little bit. He didn't go to WWF at the time. I just didn't see him. And I was like, where'd he go? I didn't, he was just gone for like 3, 4, 5 months. And then he comes back. And as weird as it is, he looked tougher. He was missing just a little bit more hair on his head, which honestly added to his tough look. It's weird, but Arn Anderson is the guy that lost hair in the right places. That's just, the stroke of that look, to lose the hair in the right places, to fit that face, to fit that build and that style. Just chef's kiss on quote unquote bad genetics. But he comes back and he's tougher and he's doing rough tactics. He's wrestling. And he wasn't doing a spine buster then. He wasn't. Some people can say, oh, he's been doing that his entire career. I guess, but I'd not seen it. I had not seen it. His finisher was the gourd buster. And he never thoroughly did it. Except there was this one enhancement guy. Art Star, Bob Star. But he wore blue tights, white trim on the side, and he had red stars. And sometimes they were blue stars, and he was a regular there in the WWF. And this guy, this star guy, there were points where he had short reddish hair, then long reddish hair. So I don't know what came of him, but the look of his face and his build, you could tell this guy was not going to be the main event of anything. But this guy, wow. When Arn Anderson got a hold of him, it was like they gonna lock up, and it's like he's gonna throw that right. Lock up, get him down, slam him. And I don't know maybe it's just Anderson was trying something new, and it was just, to me, at this stage of his career, it was vicious. Because this is just coming from a fan's point of view. This is just me watching TV, as that 11-ish year old kid. And he body slammed him, grabbed him by his jaw and his forehead, turned his head to the side, and he didn't jump, but he drove his knee down onto the side of his head. He just bam, and you could hear the impact, and he got up, and the dude just kind of, this art or whatnot star, this star guy, his body convulsed, and he didn't move. He didn't move. It just, his body convulsed. He didn't move. And Arn Anderson just kind of stood there looking out at the crowd and glanced back at him. And he made a motion with his left hand like, get up or something. Like, come here or give me some money. I ain't gonna lie. The motion he made, I used to when someone said, hey, don't you owe me some money? Right here, give me some money. That's the motion he made. It should have been out of view. It was probably out of the view of the fans, but the camera had that odd angle, so you could just see the fingers wiggling. And I was like, what's he doing? And the dude on the mat didn't move. And I was like, I think you killed him. That's where I was. Anderson turns around and go back to him after he wasn't moving. The crowd went back to him, was just, they was up in arms. They were mad. Anderson was like, I don't even care, man. And then he goes back over, grab the dude, sit him up, and put him in a rear chin lock. And I'm like, why didn't you just pin him? After a little bit, the match goes on, and then Anderson did the hammerlock body slam. That wasn't enough. And he does that knee drop again, but to the dude's shoulder, and the dude turn over and grab Anderson like, please stop doing this to me. And I'm like, this guy is brutal. Anderson he did that to a knee. He did that to the shoulder, the elbow, the head. And rarely would I see him do it to the chest. Now remember, these are the most memorable things I could think of from my childhood watching this. I'm sitting here looking at a distant picture of Dragon Ball Z character Trunks' old wall scroll. It's so old. But I'm sitting here looking at it almost like I'm trying to just look through those preteen eyes, looking at the screen late night, 12 a.m. at my grandma's television. It's a surreal feeling, And let me pull myself out that memory, out of that thought. Okay, so that match, he brutalized this dude. He brutalized him. Just driving his knee, elbows, get the knuckles and put the knuckle onto his chest and grind his knuckle in. And I'm just like, is this wrestling, or is this like the slowest murder I've seen on TV? And the crowd was saying something. They were screaming. And they were far from ringside, okay? They won't it was sort of, no, they weren't even close like you see studio wrestling today. Oh no, they were far from the ring. And I remember Anderson, he got up real quick and got to the ropes, and he hit the ropes pretty hard while grabbing onto him. He was like, shut up! And that was the first time I heard his voice, and I was like, oh my God. This guy is a murderer without a weapon. And I was like, wait. His body is the weapon. Man, and Anderson went back and just looked at the crowd, and he was pissed. And he put a knee to him. He took a few steps, he hit the ropes, took a few steps, and just kind of raised up on his toes and dropped that knee down on dude's forehead and looked at the crowd. It was like, that's what you get. That's what you get. That's what you get right there. You want to keep on? You want to keep on? And I'm like, please, crowd, shut up. Save this man in the ring. Save this poor man. And Anderson commits to just beating on him and just hammering him, picked him up, body slammed him, picked him up, suplexed him, threw him to the ropes, punched him in the stomach. Dude leaned over, Anderson grabbed him and gourd busted. And when he gourd busted, he laid that fool down. It looked now he covered it up well. Because it was to the dark area of the ring that the guy was on. That was the side of Anderson's body. He was on the dark side. So the crowd had the bright side, and all they could do was just see Anderson's shoulder and face come close to the mat. But the illusion, it looked like he drove that man's head face first into the mat from almost a vertical position and jacked him up. That dude hit the mat and just didn't move. I was like, he killed him. He finally did it, and there's no police around. There's no police around. Arn Anderson has killed a man in the ring. Why is this on TV at night? I thought that as a little kid. Why is this on TV at night? I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit scarred. and he turned him over, pinned him. Anderson got up and just looked at the crowd like they weren't worth a damn, and he got out the ring. I was like, whoa, dude. And this was all short. It was really a short match. It was probably 2-3 minutes. But good grief. And then I see Anderson's later matches, and I see Star again wrestling some I think it was Barry Windham. I saw him wrestling. You know, that was a quick match. It was like really quick. I was like, oh, you're live. Or is this recorded earlier? Before he died? Man. You know, maybe I'll see his name in the paper. I thought, I don't read the paper. I just ask if they ever hear about him. So I kept asking my grandma or my mom if they heard of this wrestler's, I can't remember his star. It was something star. If he had, he died. Did they hear? They're like, what? And it's like, hey, don't wrestler die? And then it was Saturday morning. They did a replay of the show, and my grandma was watching. I was like, yeah, this the same. That's the dude that killed him. And Anderson, he was wearing black. I think he was wearing all black or white and black. And she was like, oh, baby, this a rerun. I said, I know they showed it last night. I was up late. And she was like, okay. And she said, oh, no. She said, don't worry about it. They ain't trying to kill him. He might be a little hurt, but he all right, baby. He all right. And I was like, okay. And I just took a word for it. Hold up. Is that thunder or is that something else? I don't know. I hope it's thunder. It needs to rain because, you know. So, Arn Anderson, I watched him brutalize people, and then he started cutting promos. Good grief. Can that man talk? I would just look at the screen and I'd just be eye locked with his. I'm going to tell you, in real life, I don't like locking eyes with somebody because I see that as a challenge. Like, there's a challenge going on, some kind of threat thing, because that's what I grew up around. People lock eyes with you, they're trying to humble you, they're trying to break you down, they're trying to own you. So my thing is, if I lock eyes, it's probably going to be a fight. And I've never liked to throw hands. I thought throwing hands was a way of, and it was just instinctual. This is before I even got into wrestling. Even at school, I would see the other little kids fighting. And I'm like, if you throw a fist, you throw a punch, that's you giving up your arm, isn't it? You know? And so I never wanted to fight like that. And then I see wrestling and it just sings to me. I seen boxing. I seen, some kickboxing. I watched, Bruce Lee movies, Kung Fu Theater when it would come on. And wrestling. Yeah, yes, that just made me feel right in my body for once. And when someone tried to fight me, wrestling would save it. Either curling up in defense, or when they throw a hand out, grab the hand, throw them away. They come in trying to hit me in the abdomen, grab a headlock. And it's my choice if I let them out or not. That's how I viewed it, and that's sometimes what happened. And I let him out the headlock if I'm not being hurt. I'm like, well, you're not hurting me, so I don't really care. It was kind of like that, like, okay, didn't really care. But looking at Anderson's eyes, and he's staring at the screen, and he is talking, and it's so different than when my parents would get mad, or some of the other adults and teachers and stuff would get mad and start berating me and stuff. I didn't feel, how can I say, I didn't feel like I was being talked down to or threatened when Arn Anderson talked. When Arn Anderson talked, it was almost like I was catching life lessons. Just life lessons in a very finite little amount of time. And I'm not going to lie. I used what he said around me. You don't get in a man's face unless you're preparing to knock it off. You don't go into a man's house and make a sandwich and think it's going to be all right. Just certain things he would say. And I'm like, wait, is he the bad guy? Why are y'all booing him? He's saying sensical stuff. It's just... is that gruff, rough, raspy voice of Arn Anderson. Mwah. It fit that look. It fit it. and he gave a promo. He's not looking at a camera. He's looking at you. That's how I saw it. Like, this man know I'm watching him. And then I get older, and he's in the Horsemen. He's in WWF. But look, his time in the Horsemen. How can I say this? I thought Arn Anderson should have been heavyweight champion only if Ric Flair wasn't there. Because it's like Anderson looked, and he scared the bejesus out of me the way he would beat on some people. Then it got to the point where I was like, well, look, if they ain't going to fight back, they can go to hell. Beat on them. I don't care. It's legal. You can fight back by now. Yeah, they don't want to fight them back. They can take this whooping. It's cool. And Ric Flair, he was the one that's all dressed to the nines and the watches and cutting the loud promos and talking about the women and the kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, jet flying, and all this. And that was Ric Flair. And Anderson's like right at his side, damn near every time. And it's just, I'm like, that man would be champion if Ric Flair weren't there. That's how I saw it. And he was TV champion. And to me, Arn Anderson, I never knew where the TV title had come from. I don't know how long it had been around. I just know that it got to the point where Arn Anderson won the TV title. I didn't see anything. It must have been some kind of major event that was closed circuit or whatnot. I don't know, something. It won on TV. And then Anderson is TV champion. It just seemed like he was champion forever. I just can't remember him losing it. I can't. And he's TV champion. And then he said a few things, and I'm not going to quote it perfectly, but he explained something about the Horsemen. And he was like, the Horsemen is a unit. You see this man here? You see this man here? He is the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. There's two things that you need to know about us. We're going to do whatever it takes to protect this belt and keep this belt around his waist and keep this belt in the Horsemen. And two, at the end of the night, we own the ring. That's where that came from. That's where that started. Arn Anderson, he spoke up. Who owns the ring? Because the Horsemen would run in on every match. They would run. If someone becomes a contender for the title, the Horsemen was leaping on their soul all day, every day, all night, every night. Soul leaping people. When I was seeing the Horsemen, the first Horseman I can honestly remember is, it's Flair, J.J. Dillon, Ole Anderson, Arn Anderson. All right. That's what I remember. I don't really remember anyone else so much in the very beginning because I didn't see too many people. I remember Barry Windham being in and out. But see, that's just, TV watching. Keep in mind, I don't know what other channels they would come on. All I had was Grandma's Channel 5. That's all I had. You turn the dial on top of the TV into clink, 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 until it hits number 5 at 12 o'clock. And then on Channel 12 on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. And Sunday nights on Channel 5. And I could never catch Sunday nights perfectly, but I would always see it in between, 5:05. Sometimes I saw a starting time of 5:05, and sometimes I saw a starting time of 8:05. And I just never knew when it was going to come on, so I would just click around. Arn Anderson, eventually he added the DDT. And I had seen Jake Roberts do it. And it looked really good. Arn Anderson had a really good one too. So I didn't know who had the best, but one thing I did know, a DDT is a DDT. Nobody got up from it. And then one day Anderson was wrestling this guy, and obviously it was an enhancement wrestler. The guy kind of gets a toe kick and punches. Anderson's wobbling, and that's what they glad about Anderson. Anderson get hit a few times, and he kind of looked to his right and looked confused while he's wobbling back and forth with his hands up. And believe it or not, before Flair was really doing it, Arn Anderson would throw those fake punches and fall forward on his face. I remember seeing Arn Anderson do that a handful of times. Then he would just stand up and just kind of back up into the corner doing it. But this time he backed up about center ring, and the guy came at him and threw Anderson to the ropes. Anderson holds on. He holds on to the Irish whip, reverses it, throws him to the ropes. Guy comes off. Anderson scoops him up, turns him over, and throws him flat on his back. And it was sloppy looking. It wasn't the polished thing that he's iconically known for doing. I don't know if it was the first or just the first 20, but that was the first time I seen him do it. He was wearing red and white. Television champion, job guy on TV. And then I see him do it some other times, and then it started happening. It was smooth, and that for a small bit of time, that spine buster sometimes would finish the match. Not often, but sometimes it finished that match. And then he would say the DDT for stronger opponents, I suppose. And every once in the blue moon, you see the gourd buster. But working that body part, Arn Anderson and those other Andersons would definitely do it. I was an Arn Anderson fan before I even understood, in truth, what a fan was. When he left WCW, I was like, where is he? I still hadn't seen Tully Blanchard. And he was just gone. Just gone. And so then it was time. I was watching WWF Superstars. And it's like, we got a new tag team. They're called the Brain Busters. And they're managed by Bobby the Brain Heenan. They're part of the Heenan family, the Brain Busters. We're going to take a look at the Brain Busters, as Gorilla Monsoon would say. And I'm like, hey. And when I saw him, I was like, my honest first thoughts, you fucking traitor. Your home was at the other place. Why are you here in this bright lights cartoon area? Because I always associated WWF with like Saturday morning cartoons. Man, I was angry. But I liked Bobby Heenan so much, I didn't care anymore. That first match, didn't care. And I got to see them work together. I got to see what they could do. And I never saw everything. It's just the sporadic stuff. But then eventually, Tully was there. And then Arn was back in WCW. And I'm like, what is going on? And it's like, when he gets back, it's like the whole landscape has changed. But he had gotten better. And then, just over the years, stopped seeing him as much. Seen more like a coach. That's what it seemed more of, a coach. And I always wanted to see him back in that ring, but he was suffering those. He had suffered an arm injury, and he couldn't use his arm. And I'm not the only one. People wanted to find who did it and kill him. They wanted to find who did it and killed him. That's what they want, just straight up annihilate this dude, whomever might have hurt Arn Anderson. And somebody was like, well, yeah, man, the rumor is, he actually did it himself. He was trying to lift something and then he fell a certain way. And, it was like, oh, so it's the company's fault. The gym should have had safer weights. That's how we was taking it here. That's how we were here. Gym should have had safer weights. That's the gym's fault. Who owns that gym? Which gym was it? Let's find it. So, you know, how do we find it? We didn't. We didn't even look. We just wish we just magicked up that shit. You know, back then, you know, literally all you had was a phone book. You didn't have Google. You know, I don't even use Google. I use Ecosia. That's what I use, ecosia.org. Because damn Google. And yeah, you just had to look it up the hard way. And information on things, you know, WCW hotline. Find out the injury that that hurt Arn Anderson, you know, and will he wrestle again and stuff. And I called to listen to it. I think that's where I called one time, and I think that's what it was for. And it was $1.99 the first minute, 99 cents each additional minute. And I listened for, man, you know, y'all could just slap young Cedric, but you know, I listened for about 7 minutes. And then it started over. I was, what the? I ain't even listening anymore. I had nothing to do with that. I was like, my mom and dad gonna be mad, because I was like, okay, that's $2. I was like, oh crap. So at the time, I just summed that shit up to like $9 and just, it is what it is, and taking up my allowance, cut the grass, I get $20 and all that. So, you know, that's how I saw that. And I wrote a note, WCW hotline. I wrote down the price. I wrote down how long I was on the call. It started over. I hung up. I put $10 down on my dad's dresser, and I said, here you go. And I wrote, I'm sorry, I won't call it again. Heard nothing out of it. I went outside to play basketball. Arn Anderson being removed from wrestling, it broke my heart. I can honestly, that's one of the few people that when they left wrestling, it hurt. And seeing him now in AEW, I can see that he's losing weight. That's great. I wish I knew what he was doing, because I need to lose weight and I want to learn how. One thing I'm doing, hey, no one ever talks about their regimen. This is what I'm trying to do, because it's like a little punishment thing. I do 10 squats every time I pee. There you go. I go to the bathroom, I pee, I get done, come out, 10 squats. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to keep doing. So that's, you know, somebody may say, well, shit, if you do a number 2, then how many do you do? None, because you don't want to risk it. Wait until you're not. Wait till you absolutely know you're not. I guess do 20. I don't know. Maybe 10 more. I don't know. I'm not going that far. You know, once you pop a squat, you don't want to do 10 squats. You just don't. Somebody's like, too much information. What are you doing? Hey, look, it's a natural bodily function. All right, don't act like you special. You do it, and everyone do it. If somebody don't do it, then they need help. And if they don't need help, what is their secret? How do they get by? Inquiring minds would like to know. Seeing him in AEW, Arn Anderson, and what he's doing, I'm not happy with it, because Arn Anderson's legacy, strong, powerful. You know, that flame that goes out on top. So, you know, nobody else can light that fire but the originator. And seeing him in AEW, Arn Anderson, it's like he's rekindling things and he's getting himself in the public eye. And it's great with, you know, what you do is you pull out a Glock, and now he's armed Anderson. Okay. So that's something. At that point, don't show up anymore. And if you do, give your promo, berate somebody, introduce somebody. You know, he's got his son, Brock, and he's working with, I can't remember the dude's name, Big Shotty, I think it is. I think that's who it is. I'm not sure. But he's working with those two. And honestly, if he's actually coaching them and how to put on matches, and it's not just a come out for show, if he's actually, hey, look, this is how you wrestle. This is what I learned. This is what you do. This is how you run your matches. then I'll be honest with you, those two are going to be some absolute, unadulterated, awesome talents. That's what they're going to be. And that he might be training his legacy. He might be coaching his legacy, because Brock does everything his father does, the same mannerisms, the movements and whatnot. He's got it. And I don't really think he was trained to do that. I think that's just genetics. You know, someone told Arn Anderson to go fuck himself. He did. Now he's got Brock, because Brock don't look like he had a mom. He just come from dad. Someone just peeled him out of his dad and said, there you go, now go wrestle. You know? So I'm excited for this, but I'm scared of this for Arn Anderson, because he is one of the best promos for me that I'd ever heard. He is an amazing dismemberment type person. He just take a body part and annihilate it. He knows how to get into somebody's head. He got great ring psychology, even helping the enhancement guys look good. You know, I'm sure they wanted to come up, so look good a little bit. And he did a good job at that, man. Then he go polish it off. There you go. Send him home. I just don't want his legacy tarnished. And AEW got a habit of burying things, and I don't want Arn Anderson buried. You know, I learned a lot about how to deal with things in life through Arn Anderson and the other areas outside of wrestling and whatnot, but still, you know, he taught me certain things. Whether he cared to, wanted to, don't matter. You know, a lot of them old promos he cut, I learned a ton of things, and how to handle yourself and things like that. You know, and I thank him. So this has been Cedric for CR Wrestling Commentary, Fandom Memories of Arn Anderson. I hope you enjoyed this. If you're curious about how I felt about a certain wrestler, hey, just go ahead and, hey, I want to know your thoughts on this person back in the day. Now, I just need you to know, roughly, I've got hard to contemplate flashes of maybe 1984, 1985, but I wasn't really into wrestling until like 88, 89, and 90. You know, that's when I started kind of getting a thing going. So I remember seeing wrestling back in the day, just don't know. Because if I saw something, oh yeah, this is 1984, and I'm looking, I'm like, wait, I remember this, but it would have to be that. Other than that, it's not there. You know, not on the forefront. It's so far in the recesses, I would have to honestly see it and say, oh, I remember seeing this. So, you know, I was a young whippersnapper, you know, but older than most people that's probably listening to this. So if you like this, hey, give me a thumbs up and share the video with people that you might think want to hear this. And if you got a suggestion on somebody, hey, put it down there in the comment section. It's all good. With that said, you take care. Take care of yourself and others. And I'll be going to sleep soon, I guess. So good night and see you next time.